What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today is day 16 of all Imperial Beer Theme Month here on the channel. And the beer I'm reviewing today, once again, comes from Revolution Brewing, and they are out of Chicago, Illinois, and this is their Life Jacket, which is a part of their Deep Wood series, and this is the 2023 release. So this is a barley wine ale with mango, guava, passion fruit, coconut, and natural flavors aged in bourbon barrels. It comes in at 15.04% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed. Time of review. This can is approximately 1.5 years old, and I picked this one up at Halftime Beverage via halftimebeverage.com. So in the description box, I'll post a link to the beer mail unboxing video I did that contains all the goodies that I grabbed, and I picked up 20 different beers, and this is actually the 20th and final beer from said beer mail that I am reviewing. And at the end of the review, if I remember, I'll talk a little bit about Halftime Beverage and my experience and whether or not I would order from them again. Spoilers, I totally would. But yeah, we'll talk about that at the end. So I saved this one for last because it is the biggest beer that I grabbed, and it's a weird beer. Let's just be honest here. This is essentially a bourbon barrel aged English style barley wine that has a bunch of tropical fruits in it. You don't see it too often. In fact, I can't remember a single beer kind of like this one. Now, I've seen one review of this probably about a year ago from a very good friend of mine and fellow beer tuber, Kyle, over at No Hype Beer Reviews. And I just remember him saying something akin to like, he doesn't think a style like this will take off, basically a heavily fruited bourbon barrel aged barley wine, but he enjoyed this one. He thought it was fun, but he also thought it'd be like, it's a beer he would never have to drink again. So kind of like a one and done type of beer. And I totally get that based on the ingredients. I have seen some untapped check-ins from friends, varying opinions from this is really delicious to this is pretty solid, a couple people not really digging it. But you're going to get my take now a year and a half after its release. So we're going to crack this one open, get it into the Hop Butcher glass because I don't have a Revolution glass. And, you know, they're both in Chicago, so it is what it is. But yeah, I'm very curious about this one. And this one's a bit aged. When Kyle had it, it was probably about 6 months old, maybe not quite. But yeah, anyway, we're going to pour it into the Hop Butcher glass, and it is pretty carbonated. We're going to do something like that. I'm not going to pour it all in, only because, and I think I had this wrong when I started the video, the label and whatnot, but yeah, so anyway, in this Hop Butcher glass, first things first, that looks like a barley wine. On camera, it's probably going to have this deep kind of like burgundy, you know, maybe like a deep red color, maybe mahogany. In person, hold it up to light though, yeah, it's definitely kind of like a very deep like burgundy color, I'd say. Good carbonation. This does have the etching that promotes the carbonation, the nucleation they call it, I believe. Had about a finger of this straight up tan or khaki colored head. It's kind of hanging around, it's about a half finger, so it's dying out, but not super quickly. There are sheets, not alcohol legs, there are sheets around the rim of the glass. Maybe you can see it a little bit better on this side or to the side here, but yeah, it actually looks exactly how I would think a barley wine would look. Even a barrel-aged one, it's just, I know that's not going to be what this is. So very interesting, but it's appropriate for what you're looking for, I think, out of an English-style barley wine aged in bourbon barrels. Let's get nose. So yeah, what's happening here is a lot of weirdness. So the soul of this one is just, it smells like an absolutely fantastic and delicious barrel-aged barley wine. Lots of sticky, sweet caramel and toffee, brown sugar, like just that big malty goodness you want. But then it has like nice vanilla and oak and bourbon presence here, a little bit of peppery bourbon. And then there's this, it's more generic in the nose, but there's this generic like tropical fruit character that, because of all of those fruits, and listen, I really enjoy mangoes, I dig some guavas, absolutely love passion fruit and coconut. So you could probably pick out any of those four and I wouldn't argue, but for me the guava and passion fruit are kind of dominating in the nose. It's just so weird. Like I've had so many heavily fruited sours with those 4 ingredients, and more specifically, passion fruit and guava seem to stick out. And it's just weird. There's not a better word I can use to describe it. This is very weird. You can say unique to be nice about it, but this is weird. It's like this beer got oxidized, but instead of like a sherry note or something akin to that, you're getting just straight up tropical fruit. It smells somewhat like refreshing to some degree, but I know this isn't going to be refreshing, or at least it shouldn't be. All right, listen, my mind is incredibly confused. I don't know what I'm really smelling here, so I'm just going to get into it and hope that it's delicious. Cheers, everyone. I don't know what's going on. It's delicious. It really is. It's really tasty. Like, that's the first thing I want to say right at the get-go, or right from the get-go. It's weird. It is, no doubt. But it's very delicious. But weird. But super delicious. But also very strange. All right. Let's just, because my mind right now is racing, and I'm just like, what am I tasting? What is happening? These flavors don't normally go together, and my puny brain can't figure it out. So we're gonna go like the typical Beer PaTroll review. We'll go body, mouthfeel, and then get into the taste and everything, because I have to process what's happening here. Body is not as big as I thought. It's 15.04% specifically. 15.04, they say on the bottom of the can. The body is more like medium full, maybe approaching full body, but it doesn't have that like syrupy, like oily, just kind of viscous quality you'd get from something like this. It's like it thinned out a little bit, so it's a bit thin. It's not incredibly thin, but it's a bit thin. The mouthfeel, however, it's way more carbonated than I expected. This is like moderately carbonated, which is a little bit higher than I prefer. I like mild to moderately carbonated barley wines. This has a little bit more oomph and a little bit more spritzy effervescence kind of on the palate. It's crisp. It's almost crisp, and most barley wines don't have that crispness. So it's crisp. It's somewhat smooth on the palate. It's not harsh from the alcohol. However, let's just get the alcohol. Let's get talk about the elephant in the room. Over 15%. A little bit of acidity on my palate. I get a little bit of booziness, little ethanol. Dude, let me tell you something. I've drank a lot of beers on this channel that are super high, like 12+%. This is the first one that I can tell after like 3 sips in the pit of my stomach, it is on fire. Like each sip is just, it's warming going down, but then as soon as it lands in my stomach, it's just like on fire, almost like pulsating in my body. This is a hot beer. It really is. It's very, very boozy, especially going down. The taste. Here's the best way to explain this one. It's a front to back bourbon barrel aged English style barley wine. There's a ton at the forefront. Caramel, toffee, brown sugar, almost like a molasses. There's like a big brown bread thing going on, a little bit of fruitiness, like more of a dark fruit, like a plum, a prune, a raisin. It's giving me the sugar daddies, sugar babies, raisinettes, all of that good stuff, for sure. And then the finish, the bourbon comes in. It's vanilla, it's oak. It's not straight on like a bourbon spirit, but it's vanilla oak. If there's anything, it's like there's a little bit of a spiciness, almost like a cinnamon, pepper, kind of almost clovey kind of thing. I know there's no actual spices in here, but it's just giving me that kind of essence on the finish. However, there is a omnipresent, hovering fruitiness to this one. And here's the thing, I can't tell you that it's specifically any of these 4 fruits. And in fact, if you ask me doing this blind, what fruit am I tasting? Like a dark berry. I'd say like a raspberry or a strawberry, something in that realm, maybe even like a blackberry. It has more of a berry-esque kind of feel to it than any kind of tropical fruit. I'm getting 0 coconut. There's no way doing this blind I'd ever tell you there's guava or passion fruit in here. Knowing those 2 fruits specifically, both eating them in real life and having them in beers, I do not get that. I could see mango. Like mango is one of the 4 fruits that I would say, okay, that makes sense to some degree. Because it has almost like a juicy kind of berry quality to me. So you could say like, mango juices in here. I wouldn't be like, hold your horses, but it just has more of a berry essence to it. Now, to be fair, my Letterkenny fans, I think with this one, it's a really tasty beer, but it's also a year and a half old, and maybe some of those fruit qualities have kind of diminished and just kind of combined to be one generic fruitiness that I'm picking up as berry. It's not bad. It's actually, I enjoy this one. But I can see what Kyle was saying about it's a fun beer and it's nice to try it. This is probably not one I'd go back to. I think Revolution has one of the best barrel age programs in the country, and their jacket series, it's the old school straight jacket, the bourbon barrel aged English Barleywine, or any of the variants I've had over the years. I think I've had maybe a blueberry one. It was called blackberry. It was like blackberry fin, and then they did a strawberry jacket. I've had, berry essence or berry laden, I guess, straight jacket variants. And they worked better than I anticipated. And this is the same. I think it works better than I anticipated, but I couldn't specify any of the fruits. And I think that's a bummer to some degree, but maybe it's not. This is definitely not going to be a trend. I don't think that happens at any point in the near future anyway. This is one of those rare beers where I have to take my time with it. It is so incredibly boozy. And like I said, it's more boozy in the pit of my stomach. Like my stomach right now is absolutely, it's like you ever eat like something super hot, like a hot sauce or a pepper, and you start getting those like, I would say stomach pains, but the warming in your stomach, you're like, oh man, a little bit, I'm going to be feeling it. That's what's happening here with the alcohol, which is just wild. This is sweet. I guess the good thing about this is not cloying. It has like a nice firm dryness. It's mildly bitter, but it's not overly sweet. It's rich, it's decadent. It has those confectionery caramelized sugar notes, but it's not overbearing. The barrel's not too big. It's noticeable, but not too big. I don't know. This is a good but very strange beer. I'm going to do one more sip and then I'm going to rate it. I'm going to have to nurse this one for like an hour and a half at least. Take little baby sips because I don't know if my stomach's going to be able to handle it. So Life Jacket, a part of their Deep Wood series, the 2023 release. We'll actually do the right side here. I guess this is actually more, I like that from this aspect. We'll do both, but because nobody cares, but thumbnails. I'm going to give this a low 4.25. I'll go 4.2. It's a delicious bourbon barrel aged English barley wine with some tropical fruits in there that you really can't taste anymore. I'd be curious if anybody has a can of this and you watch this review, if you want to open it up at some point in the near future, let me know what you're tasting. Again, I saw Kyle review this one about a year ago, and I just remember him saying it was a fun but strange beer, and I would agree with him. I think this is a very fun yet strange beer, and I don't know where to like really put this. It's an enjoyable, fun, I think, one and done beer for me. I think that's where I'd leave it. So price point, I paid $10.99 for a can at the aforementioned Halftime Beverage. Halftime Beverage is usually more expensive. However, I do know a lot of people talked about like the Deep Wood series beers being anywhere from like $35 to like $50 a 4-pack, depending on the variant and whatnot. So it's kind of in that range of like if you bought an entire 4-pack, you're looking around $40 to $44 if they knock a couple off at Halftime Beverage. I don't know what this was at the brewery back in 2013, but $11 to try that. I'm not mad. It is in a 12 fluid ounce can, so it is less than $1 an ounce, but at the same time, it's also over 15%. So I can't really get too upset at the price point, but I would never buy this again. Probably period, or I don't know. Maybe if they did some kind of other tropical fruits, I would try it, but for $11, there's much better beers out there that I'd rather try out. Availability, again, I'm pretty sure this was Chicagoland only. I don't know if they got any distro outside of Chicago. Here in the Buffalo, New York area, we do not see their beer, which makes it weird to me anyway that Halftime Beverage does get some crazy breweries that we do not see here upstate and in Western New York. Halftime Beverage closer to New York City, but they get some really cool beers, and this was one of them, and I had to grab it because whenever I see any kind of Revolution barrel-aged beer, it's go time. As long as it's reasonably priced, I will pick it up. So, yeah, I mean, let me take one more sip and just like kind of figure this out. And we'll talk about Halftime Beverage as well. Dude, it's wild. Like 3 seconds after I sip it, and it like just feels like my stomach is on fire. It's wild. Anyway, Halftime Beverage. So for those of you who just want to turn off the review, totally understand. Probably a lot of you have already done it after I rated it. Halftime beverage, I got 20 beers, and I think it was just over 100. It was like 100. It was under, like, it was 105 to like $110. I think it was like $105 shipped to my house. You're talking about $5 a bottle/can delivered to my house. So I got free delivery because once you go over $100 here in New York State, you get free delivery. I think like the base delivery fee is like $15.99 for up to 24 beers. Listen, their prices are higher than a lot I've seen out there, but they get their hands on some cool stuff. And the fact that I can place an order and have it delivered to my house in like a couple days is very welcoming, especially nowadays. So I would say that I think halftime beverage is worth it, especially if you're in New York State. If you're outside the state, I don't know how shipping works. I don't know if that's free shipping nationwide if you get over $100, but I do think they get their hands on some cool beers. So if you are outside of New York State, check out Halftime Beverage if you're curious to see what they have available. They ship to a lot of different states, which is rare nowadays because a lot of places don't ship to certain states. See if there's anything that you would enjoy, and I would highly recommend checking them out. Like I said, I placed the order, and in 2 days, the beer was at my front door. Everything arrived in tip-top shape, and I got a lot of cool beers from Parish. I got beers like this. I also got some shelfie beers and stuff, non-alcoholic. But it was well worth it. Live Oak, got a chance to try Live Oak, both their Pils and Hefeweizen for the first time. So it was a good experience, I would say. Good to great experience, and I would recommend them with my alone experience being, the beer mail that I got back in, I think it was late summer of last year. So I'll probably place another order with them this year at some point. Once I see a bunch of beers that kind of interest me, I will give them a go. But until then, that's it. That's it for the halftime beverage beers. I got a lot of other beers on hand, so it's not a big deal. So anyway, I apologize for the longer review. If you've had this one before, whether it's fresh, recently, whatever, please post in the comment section. Let me know what you think about it. I'm going to drink this one very slowly while contemplating whether or not I should drink the entire thing, because I gave it a 4.2. I do like the flavors. Tropical fruit really didn't come to the forefront. Again, more of a generic, like dark berry kind of fruitiness, and I do enjoy it, but man, like right now my stomach is kind of a little bit upset after drinking this, and I don't know what it is about this one. I've had some bigger beers than this that I've reviewed, and it just hasn't messed up my stomach like it is right now. So we'll figure it out. It's the Beer PaTroll. We always figure it out. Might not be, it might not be something I figure out optimally, but we figure it out. I'm going to shut it down. Till the next one. Cheers.